Hey all, this is 012 Boku coming at you with another movie review, and just like with my trailer review that I did last time, the movie review coming with you today is, don't know if you guys can see it, but yeah, From Russia with Love. From Russia with love, I fly to you. That's enough of the theme song for me. But I figured that I would do that for you guys because, heck, why not? I like From Russia with Love. It's a good one, and, you know, for as good of a movie as it is, and the continuation of also the Bond films, I'm like, why not? Now, this film, you know, was the second one in the whole film franchise installment. It was made right after Dr. No in '62, so this one was picked up right from 1963, and it was a continuation of Terrence Young, and, well, director Terrence Young, and producers Albert R. Broccoli and Harry Saltzman work, because they really wanted to get this out there. And I think for From Russia with Love being the second film here, as you guys can see, it was a really, really good, well-made choice for what they can do. And, you know, Terrence Young really proved in this film that he could really come out as a standout director, that, you know, like, he could really do the spy genre. He put all his heart and soul into it. And to give you that little bit of iteration, and he said this in one of the audio commentaries. I think this is what he said in shoot, what film was it? Oh yeah, it was Thunderball, which we are still a few films ahead, but we will get to Thunderball. And he said in Thunderball in the audio commentary that Dr. No is the most important film because it was the film that I had to deal with the most establishing, and I agree with, to know what the world was like. And he mentioned how this film was the most action-packed or exciting film he did, From Russia with Love, because he thought he really put a lot of good stuff that was exciting in the film. And he really did. I mean, he brought it well into view. I mean, there is some good action scenes. He really put a lot of good spy mystery stuff into this film. The fight scene between Donald Grant and James Bond is spectacular. It is definitely one of the best in the Bond films. It is probably one of the best fight scenes in all spy action films. I mean, I know there's a lot of good ones, but I definitely put it up there at the top for story, pacing, setting, and how they executed the whole thing. And to basically add more to that, you know, it's just James Bond. I mean, how can you compare with it? Because, I mean, and especially with the originals. Because in the new ones, yes, the action is good, but like I said, it's a little at times. And I recently just rewatched a new film that I had, Quantum of Solace, which I saw at my friend's place a long time ago. Didn't pick it up again, and I have to say, just on a side note, Quantum of Solace is good, but not as great as they're trying to make it out to be. So, I mean, we'll get to that when I finally get to review that one for you guys, but right now, we're still on From Russia with Love as a continuation. In this film, stars once again James Bond, or Sean Connery rather, as James Bond, stepping back into the role where he seems to be way more into it, and he can be the character pretty well. Like, he knows what to do, and his flow, his timing, the comedy he gives, him being this dry wit, sexual, natural-born spy, really rolls off him, and he just delivers everything so well. So hats off to you, Sean Connery, sir. This is why you are probably the #1 Bond. No disrespect to my personal favorite, Pierce Brosnan from GoldenEye, which once again we shall get to. And as this all continues, we have, oh yes, Pedro. Sorry guys, yeah, looking on the back here. Pedro Armendariz. Pedro Armendariz plays Karen Bay in this movie. And as Karen Bay, he is a spy in many ways, or ally I should say, for the British government. He's passed a lot of stuff along to the British and the American allies for the Russian secrets that he gives out, because on the Russian Turkish border where he's at, he keeps an eye on the dealings in Russia and at the Russian consulate by seeing what takes on and what goes on. And when Bond shows up, because the story of the second one is you have James Bond needs to get his hands on a Lecter decoder, and so does Spectre. And it seems like the plot of this movie is that for Spectre to get their hands on the Russian Lecter decoder, they need a beautiful Russian agent to take the fall, who is in the form of Tatiana Romanov, and then you have James Bond, who they set up for the British side to get the Lecter decoder, and the object is Spectre wants to play them off, both each other, till then, and then steal the Lecter decoder for their own nefarious purposes. And Pedro Armendariz is as Karen Bay, is the guy they meet up to have the deal go down and happen. Of course, Karen Bay is not working with Spectre. He's just, like I said, an ally for the British and the American governments spying on the Russian consulate, so he has no idea of Spectre's plan. And with with Karen Bay, there we go, with Karen Bay, it continues on that when James Bond arrives there, he in a way is like James Bond. Karen Bay has a suave sophisticatedness about him. He's very caring. He cares a lot about his family. He has a lot of sons. Family is really important to him. It's a big prospect for him and his family. So family is a huge thing for Karen Bay. But you can see where both he and Bond have this suaveness. They both care about their jobs. They both secretly care for the area of freedom, without having it show way too much. And there's a mutual respect between the two, that Karen Bay and James Bond are good friends and allies in arms. And Pedro Armendariz just plays that really well. And the guy did such a great job in the movie. I found out in the audio commentary from Russia with Love that sadly he had cancer and was dying of cancer while he did this film, and apparently because of his cancer he had a limp and couldn't do much with his limp, or much because he had his limp that was on him. He was in constant pain, but he did a bang-up job in this movie, and he really wanted to do it. When they found out that Pedro Armendariz had cancer, they almost wanted to go with a different actor, but he begged and pleaded to be a part of this movie, and they allowed him, and he really gave it his all. And he was well known in Mexico, but I think this was the first time that he could be a part of an international film and be well known around the world. So I think that's why he also really wanted to do this. And the great thing is, he is remembered for doing From Russia with Love here. The sad thing is Pedro Armendariz, sadly, I think they said died like 4 or 5 months after the film was completed. So, I mean, it's a sad thing, but the guy gave it all for the role, and he really cared about this role, man. So, hats off to you, Pedro Armendariz, and God bless, and may God be watching over you big time in heaven. Then you have, let's see, oh yes, lots of late yeah, Lotta Lenya as Rosa Klebb, who is a former Russian general now secretly working for Spectre, and number one, who is not yet known as Ernst Stravo Blofeld. We only know of Blofeld as the number one man for Spectre, so they call him number one. But yeah, so Rosa Klebb is one of the top agents for number one, and she doesn't work for the Russians anymore. She works for number one Blofeld, and she's part of the big scheme hatched by another henchman in this movie who goes by the name of Kronstein to steal the Lecter decoder. She actually tricks her agent Romanov to fall in love with Bond, to learn everything they can about Bond, and to, find out what information they have so, they can keep the Lecter decoder safe or yada yada. But as we all know, we've got we've got Klebb playing Romanov off Bond and vice versa, because obviously Klebb wants to get her hands on the Lecter decoder to give it to number one Blofeld, and she's just using them to spy. And Lotta Lenya did a really good job. She was very convincing as Rosa Klebb. Not the most attractive person, but I think that was beside the point. She really is just good. She could be a vicious person, a calculating person, tough and unfair, but yet, having that sinister, like she wants to care, but deep down, she's just a dirty, evil person. So Lotta Lenya did a great job in this movie. Another one that stands out as well is, oh yes, Robert Shaw, who plays Donald Grant. Now, Donald Grant in this film is one of the top assassins for Spectre. He's hard, unfeeling, he's a former multiple murderer, but Spectre picked him up to make him a top assassin and make him deadly to their enemies. And we see in the beginning of the film, it looks like he's actually chasing James Bond down on this one mansion. But the thing is when Donald Grant gets at the end and takes the piano wire and basically chokes and kills James Bond, like throttles him and groats him dead, we find out it was just another Spectre agent with a James Bond 007 mask on his face, like, they're prepping Grant for one day this great achievement to where he could take out Bond. And easily enough, when Rosa Klebb comes to have the Lecter decoder be taken from both the Russians and Bond, she wants an assassin to deal with Romanov and Bond, and that is in the form of Donald Grant. Because when she finds Donald Grant, she's impressed with him. She likes his record. He's intimidating, foul, and caring. Like Donald Grant for most of the film is basically a hard, cold assassin, and if I may say, not totally, but a bit robotic. And Robert Shaw just plays that off so well in this film, because throughout the film he follows Bond, saves him from a few assassination attempts, and makes sure everything between Romanov and Bond go through well. And it's like a game of secret cat and mouse, or what I called in a recent article I did for From Russia with Love, I called it as where he's the dark shadow of Bond. He's like an evil version of Bond, and Robert Shaw just plays that perfectly. He plays it perfectly to where he can be like an evil version of Bond if Bond was a part of Spectre, if Bond chose that path, per se. And as we see, it's just so well done. And to put that point on it, when we get to the train fight between Bond and Grant at the end, it's just so brutal, vicious, pulse pounding, like they're both going at it with each other, and it's just a back and forth melee that you don't expect, and it is so entertaining. It like keeps you on the grip the edge of your seat. And when I first saw From Russia with Love, I didn't like it because I didn't like the spy aspect. I didn't like the stuff. I thought the train fight was boring because you couldn't see anything. But I was not paying full attention to the film, so I was upset that I never gave it my full attention before. Now, I'm glad I did give my full attention to this film, because this film, From Russia with Love, is great. It is a great, great movie. And, you know, Robert Shaw, I know you passed on many years ago, but hats off to you, good sir. Another great role from you as well, much like Quint in Jaws, which we shall get to. Or, no, I already did Jaws quite a while ago, but who knows, I'll probably do a lot of redos of these too. But hats off to you, Robert Shaw. You are also a great actor in our sadly miss. And then, oh yes, oh, 1 second. Just gonna pop away to get my water here for a moment, guys. I looked in on the other side of the couch. I was trying to get good lighting, and I think right here, this couch is the best lighting, so, hey. Oh, that's good. Sorry about that, guys. But we also have Bernard Lee, who is returning as James Bond's Superior M. And once again, we get a lot from Bernard Lee. Great acting, good character. Really is, you know, a guy who can keep Bond in line, but yet Bond also makes Pudge. Oh, M's life a living hell, and it's like you get that dynamic to where there is that, but at the same time, M can really trust Bond with a lot of stuff, and it's a great way to keep the relationship going between the two, even though albeit it's a little bit of an easy one. So Bernard Lee gives another great performance in this movie as M. And as it continues, because she was just sort of starting off, because I think she just did a few stage plays before she did From Russia with Love, but an actress, Daniela Bianchi, an Italian actress who played the part of Tatiana Romanov, is in this film. Like I said, I think this was one of her first breakout roles to where she did this movie, and you know, she did a good job. She really played the part of the you know, woman who plays, you know, well with Russia. You know, she'll do anything for the motherland. You know, she's willing to work with James Bond to try to wrestle the Vector decoder away from him and trick him, but she's way too kind and way too dispositionate for that, and she ends up falling for the man. And it becomes a thing where it's like she wants to do what's right for Mother Russia, but at the same time, she's just falling in love with Bond really quick that, you know, she really is hesitant to do it or whatnot. Either way, this works in the form with Spectre, because Spectre uses the relationship between Bond and Romanov to enact their final and fiendish plans to kill both of them. So it's really like well done on their end. And once again, like I said, the spy stuff of this movie, the story for that is pretty phenomenal overall. And Daniela Bianchi, you know, gave a really good role. She seemed like she gave it her all, and you know, good actress in this film. I don't think she said she did too much more after this, maybe a few movies, but yeah, this is like one of the top movies that I think she did, besides doing like a lot of other stage plays and things in Italy. The story for this movie is once again written by Richard Maybaum, and Richard Maybaum, you know, did a great job on the story of this movie. I mean, From Russia with Love gives you, you know, great action. The train fight sequence is just awesome. You know, the spy stuff is really good in this movie. The characters are done well. You know, so Richard Maybaum did a great job for the story and did fantastic work, much like he did in Dr. No. And overall, For Russia with Love has a great score by John Barry, who does great music. I mean, that is why they say John Barry is the father of James Bond music, besides Monty Norman, who did the music as well in the first movie. But Monty Norman is well known for doing the main theme, and John Barry is more known for doing most of the James Bond scores, so I could see where they're having that little bit of a side thing there. And then, other than that, you know, you got the great score, you know, the effects are great when the action scenes go on, and you see the effects they do, they're well entertaining. Once again, characters are pretty up to par, some are a little but you know, overall, it's just a joy to watch. a joy to watch. And you can really see where Terrence Young and Albert R. Broccoli and Harry Saltzman put their guts, their hearts, and their soul into this movie. And From Russia with Love is just a great piece. It really picks up from here, and the movies just seem, in my opinion, to get better and better. And there are a few movies that sort of flop and fish around, and From Russia with Love does have those moments too, but it's still a great movie. It's great overall, and I suggest it be in your James Bond collection if you don't have it. So overall, I give the movie a yeah, I believe I gave From Russia with Love a 10 out of 10 as well, just like Dr. No, or maybe Dr. No was a 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. I know I gave it like the big 3 high rating, but you know, it's still there, and I give From Russia with Love a 10 out of 10. And you know, what do you guys think? Do you like, you know, From Russia with Love? Is this one of your favorite films, or is it on the least of your Bond films, or do you like the Bond films at all? You know, just let me know. Give out any comments, and just, you know, let me know what you guys think. Until then, this is ON2 Boku signing off for you guys with another movie review. And until then, I'll catch you guys later, alright? Have a good one.